Alright everybody, more people know where Jimmy Hoffa is buried than remember this flick. But it doesn't mean it wasn't great. Let's go. Okay everybody, today we're going all the way back to 1980 to check out a cool little flick that I loved back in the day. Is it a Death Wish ripoff? Is it a forgotten gem that deserves more attention? We'll get into that. Doesn't make a difference. But before we go any further, before we do anything else, we're going to take a look at the trailer for 1980's Defiance. Let's go.
He was a stranger. He was a loner.
I'm just passing through. I mind my own business.
This concerns you too.
No, it doesn't.
He wanted no part of their world.
You think this is what I want, this rat trap you live in?
Just think about this. They're gonna be able to take your whole stupid life and stick it in that duffel bag of yours.
He wanted no part of their problem.
Used to be a nice place to live in, right here. This neighborhood. All of a sudden, it's changed.
But he became part of their world. And their problems became his.
You're finished, big man. You're dead.
The more he tried to leave, the more he knew he had to stay.
Hey, pull over!
No, I won't stay. I won't stay.
They all lived in fear. All but one.
Hey, tough guy. Before your girlfriends can cross the street, I'm gonna bend this six-pack around your head. But don't mess with me, punk. Come on, cut me, man! Come on, cut me!
Until he taught them defiance. Jan-Michael Vincent, Theresa Saldana, and Academy Award winner Art Carney. Defiance from American International.
Okay, this motion picture was directed by John Flynn. Did some movies you know, did some movies you remember. He did Lock Up with Sylvester Stallone. He did Brain Scan, and The Sergeant, and The Outfit, and Out for Justice with that master of acting, Steven Seagal, and Bestseller, and Rolling Thunder. So, you think of those, you kind of get where we're going with this. What more do you need to say? Hey, playing Tommy is a man whose career never really went on to what it should have been, cut short through his own self-destructive nature. Sad, he had the look, he had the talent, he had the charisma, had everything except self-control. And that is Jan-Michael Vincent. Let's hit it. We're talking about he's been in stuff like The Mechanic, and The World's Greatest Athlete, and Coming Home, and Buffalo 66, and the classic Damnation Alley, and fucking Hooper with Burt Reynolds, I mean, come on, and White Line Fever, and Hard Country, and he will always be remembered, probably to most people, as Stringfellow Hawk from Airwolf, that TV show that ran in the mid-'80s that everybody loved and everybody watched. He was getting $200K an episode at that point, people. Highest paid actor in television history at that moment. No shit. Okay, playing Marsha, Theresa Saldana. Good actress, had a bad run-in with a crazed stalker in 1982. He stabbed her like 10 times. Fucking crazy world out there. But she was in some really, really, really good stuff. We're talking about she was in Raging Bull. She was in The Evil That Men Do. in Angel Town, and on TV and tons of stuff like T.J. Hooker and Cagney and Lacey and Hunter and Matlock. And most notably, she had a really long run on that TV show, The Commish. So, good actress, good career, passed away a few years ago, is what it was. But she's in this, and hey, that's cool. Playing Carmine. This guy was awesome. Danny Aiello. What more needs to be said? Let's hit it. We're talking about he was in stuff like Fort Apache, The Bronx, and The Stuff, and The Protector, and Radio Days, and Moonstruck, and Jacob's Ladder, and Do the Right Thing, and The Pickup Artist, and Ruby. He even popped up in Leon de Profesional, which is a movie that I just think is the shit. So Danny Aiello, big career, long career, massive career, really good actor. What more needs to be said? Okay, playing Angel Cruz. He's done everything from playing Mexican gangbangers to Native American Indians. We're talking Rudy Ramos. Good actor. Let's go. We're talking about he's been in stuff like The Enforcer and Colors and The Driver and Beverly Hills Cop 2. And he was on TV also, you know, The Hunter, Matt Houston, Jag, The High Chaparral. And right now he's actually having quite a resurgence. He's on that TV show, the Yellowstone, you know, with Kevin Costner and stuff. So, out there, still working. Good actor, good dude. Is what it is. Let's keep moving. Okay, playing Whacko. Lenny Montana. Man, this guy had a career as a professional wrestler before acting. Colorful dude. Let's hit it. Well, of course, he was in The Godfather. And he was in The Jerk. And he was in All the Marbles. And he was in Evil Speak. And he was on TV and shit like Kojak and whatnot. Once you see the face, you're always going to remember the guy. You know what I'm talking about? Godfather, whatever. You know him, you remember him, is what it is. Okay, playing Abe. Art Carney. We're talking about a man who had the career going from the days of fucking radio. Anyway, let's hit it. We're talking about he's been in stuff like Harry and Tonto, and House Calls, and The Late Show, and Going in Style, and Steel with Yoli Mages himself, and Firestarter, and The Last Action Hero. And he was in a great little movie called Take This Job and Shove It. Anybody remember that? That movie's completely fucking forgotten. People don't remember it. People don't even associate with it anymore. But he will always mostly be remembered for The Honeymooners, where he was alongside Jackie Gleason in one of the greatest little comedy shows of all times. Is what it is, as it was. Hey, that's pretty cool, right? Okay, and even though he has a small role in this motion picture, I have to throw in this guy. Playing Kavinsky, Joe Campanella. I have to throw him in because he was everywhere back in the day. He was on every television show ever created during the 70s and 80s. You seen his face, you knew him. He was in a ton of shit all the time. I'll probably never get to mention his name again, so I'm going to bring it up here. But let's do the list. We're talking about he was in stuff like Marcus Welby, The Fugitive, Mannix, the FBI, and Gunsmoke, and The Rookies, and Ironside, and The Colbys, and Melrose Place. And used to pop up a lot on the show I used to watch way back in the day. Remember One Day at a Time? Remember Valerie Bertinelli and the mom and sister? Whatever. It's what it was. Joe Campanella was around for a zillion years on a zillion TV shows. Mostly a TV guy. I just had to bring him up in something because we'll probably never see him again in any of these things. Anyway, let's get going to the story. Okay, everybody, time for the story. I'm going to try to keep it to 90 seconds or less, keep it fast, keep it moving, keep it entertaining, so we can all get to the point where we would rather be, the summation. Let's kick it. Okay, you have Tommy. He's a merchant seaman. Been out to sea since he's been 16 years old. Well, he got into a little bit of trouble on his last gig, punched one of the officers, and now he's been suspended for 6 months. They kick him off the ship. Where did they kick him off? New York City. 1980 New York City. It's a shithole, I'll tell you that. It's getting there again. Anyway, he finds an apartment in this shady part of town. He gets to know some of the locals, store owners, some people hanging out, and this really cute girl just happens to live upstairs from him. Anyway, he kind of befriends him, but he soon finds out that this town is really just run by a gang that just steals and loots and does whatever the hell they want. The Savage Souls. Well, As time goes on, he starts to have a little bit of running here and there with the Savage Souls. Meanwhile, he's trying to take care of some of the people in the community. He befriends this little boy, and he befriends this crazy guy named Whacko. And he starts to run into these old guys that used to be the sportsmen. They were the gang back in the day. Now they're a bunch of old bastards. And he becomes friends with them. One thing leads to another. They start to push back. They start to fight back. The Savage Souls start to jump on them. And sooner or later, everybody gets sick of their shit. And they're going to mount some defiance. Anyway, you get the idea where this is going. You know what I'm talking about? It is what it is. As such goes. Guy comes into town. Town is scared to death by a bunch of gang members. He brings out the fight in the town. They kind of come back against them. Blah, blah, blah. Love story mixed in. It is what it is. You got the idea. It doesn't need much more than that, for Christ's sakes. Let's get going to the summation. Okay, everybody. Defiance. Good movie? Bad movie? Let's break it down and take it from the top. The directing. Is it good? It's good. Is it great? No. But it's solid. I already told you what Flynn has done before, so you get the idea. Is he Spielberg? No. But is he going to know how to frame a movie and make it entertaining? Yes, he is. The writing? Fair enough. Fairly pedestrian. Nothing amazing. Gets the job done. The acting? Come on. Jan Michael Vincent is really good in this anyway. You cut it, folks. He kind of had that, like, Patrick Swayze vibe back in the day. You know what I mean? The pretty boy trying to be the tough guy type of thing. He pulls it off. Theresa Saldana is completely enjoyable as the sympathetic girl trapped in this horrible town. Art Carney, legend. Delivers, brings it. He's great in this motion picture. And Danny Aiello, probably the one who shines the most in this motion picture. Phenomenal actor, went out to really good things. Talent, brings it, delivers it. It's in this motion picture. That's all that needs to be said. So now that you know the directing is solid, so now that you know the story and the writing is good enough, and now that you know the acting was really, really good, where does this leave Defiance? Well, Defiance is one of those motion pictures that I will always fondly remember from my early childhood. I was like 10, 11 years old when this thing came out. And I remember watching it as a staple, a mainstay on cable television. It was on there all the time. And every time it was on, I watched it. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Some people think of it as a little bit of a poor man's death wish, and I think that's kind of an unjust classification for it. Can you see the similarities? Yes. People fight back. They're not going to take it anymore. They become the semi-vigilantes, I guess, of the neighborhood. If you really want a vibe of what this motion picture is about, honestly, you would probably have to look at Roadhouse, which almost, think about it, to a large degree, copied Defiance. Guy comes into a town's being terrorized by this other gang, extortion's going on, everything like that, and finally he's the one who stands up, meets a girl, falls in love, fights back, and then the town people at the end join him in the fight. That's Roadhouse, people. And this one, he's a merchant seaman. The other one that they made, he was a bouncer. If you enjoyed Roadhouse, you're going to enjoy this, except that this motion picture has a little bit more of a grounded feel to it. There's no over-the-top martial arts fights. There's none of that crazy stupid shit. It's just a New York 1980 movie. It's gritty. It's dirty. If you could smell it, it would smell like shit. Everybody lives in abject poverty. Everything looks run down. The people always look dirty. It's a New York movie. Now, are there times where this motion picture you can tell went from locations to backlot? Yeah, you can. You can spot a couple backlot shots on this, but that's all right. They blend it really well. It doesn't jump out at you, and it still looks really, really cool. It doesn't take you out of the movie, but it works. The stores, the set design, everything feels good, feels right, and reflects kind of that place, that vibe of the time. The great scenes where he's always up to the river, and sometimes you see the New York skyline in the background. Beautiful to look at, entertaining to see. You got Rudy Ramos playing one of the most suave, well-dressed bad guys you could ever meet. Kind of looks cool, kind of pulls off the part, does his job. They're a little bit funny about that character in this motion picture. There's times when you think they're going to dive into him and show you how he became the asshole he is or whatever. There's a couple scenes where you get to see him in his life. but they never really explore them all the way. They kind of dipped their toe into the pond, showed you this guy almost as a human being, and then just ducked right back out and made him a supervillain again. So that was kind of like an unexplored avenue. I don't even know why they did it, but hey man, this time they even did that in Roadhouse, which followed like, you know, almost fucking whatever years later. You get the idea. But the saddest part in the end, really, was the fate of Defiance. It's one of those motion pictures that I swear to you, nobody ever brings up. Nobody ever brings up. I don't think I've ever heard it in a comment section. I could be wrong, but I don't think I ever have. It never comes up in conversations until I throw it out there and say, hey, remember that little flick with Jan Michael Vincent way back in the day, Defiance? And people like, and then it hits, like, I've seen that thing running around cable. Maybe that's just the fate it deserves. I think it's a little bit unjust. It's an entertaining, solid, cool little action flick. Bit of a love story mixed in there, throwing your urban decay of New York City. What more could you want than that? Okay, everybody, get out there. Go check out Defiance. Right now it's actually playing on YouTube as one of those free with ads running in it type movies. It's worth a watch. It's worth a look. It's a great old flick that needs way more light shine on it than it has ever gotten before. Be good. Take care. Stay out of trouble. Look out for a friend. Help a family member. Be kind to a stranger. And above all else, under no circumstances take any shit from anybody. See y'all soon.